Yes, sir. Let's indeed.
I think we're in.
On this beautiful day in Burlington, Ontario. Let's fucking get this cheddar,
This
motherfuckers.
beautiful, hot Sunday morning in Burlington, Ontario.
Bro, like, whenever something like this happens, it's kind of really interesting to see how certain people like react to it. I mean, I'm not obviously like, I'm not, what do you call it? I am not immune to having my own reaction, but it's kind of interesting to see what people that are generally pretty logical and pretty like level-headed and how they react emotionally to things like this. And we'll get into it and whatnot, but
Let's just dive right into
I think we just dive right into it. Welcome back to another episode of Yes and Perhaps podcast. It is episode number 26, officially half the year in the books. Well, actually, it's a little bit past that. We've missed a couple weeks because of just life, but consistency. Sometimes if you fail and you fucking drop the ball, the worst thing that you can do is just fucking give up. But
no, I think the saying
here
goes,
we are.
Fail and drop the ball, just make some lemonade. But
yeah, I'm pretty sure that you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So something big happened yesterday. Something that a lot of people have already been talking about, like leading up to this, is like the big what if, right?
Crazy.
And it actually fucking happened.
Crazy.
And it happened in the middle of our family, like kind of get together, like barbecue, and everybody, like it went from nobody being on their phones and just like hanging out. Actually, we were coming back because fucking, first off, let's talk about parking. Let's talk about the parking situation at some of these parks.
Shall you remind me that I had to pay a
it was
$50 ticket?
Relatively speaking, though, $50 compared to like the 150s of some people that were paying is actually not that bad. But yeah, obviously shitty ball sacks.
Damn.
But like
You already
okay.
know that our officer is just having. She's like, oh, I booked this day off 2 weeks in advance, but they got me in working today.
Probably. I mean, that's probably part of it. In my opinion, if the city really wanted to take advantage of it, they could have just had
put a meter there.
Teams of people. No, I'm saying like
of that.
they all. And luckily, it was just one person. Can you, like, bro? If I was like, okay, if I was that like not douchebag, because at the end of the day, they are just doing their job, right?
They are. You can't blame them.
But if I really wanted to like, meet my quotas or like shine internally, you know what I mean? I would have like a team of people out there, because there were hundreds of people. Because it's not just that one. Okay, so first off, context for everyone. There are like, we live by Lake Ontario, and along the lakeshore, there's like a series of these public parks. And in the summer, especially lately, because of the influx of new immigrants that have been coming, there has just been no parking to be found, and people scrap at parking lots and they get into beefs. And so naturally, if there isn't enough parking spots, people are going to park illegally, right? And so yesterday, everyone was just parked legally, including myself and my brother. And it was just so funny. Each time that somebody, like the parking lady, would come through, everybody would just like jet to their cars and just fucking drive off. Yeah. So they should just make that whole street there. Just make a fucking parking meter. Like, just put a green
meter
fee.
there.
Yeah, exactly.
You'd be getting literally the same amount. You don't have to hire that person can take the day off.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? You don't have to get a whole team like you're mentioning.
The ironic part about it is the fact that she herself was parked illegally too.
I know, yeah.
Like, what the fuck are we doing here?
Just trying to,
you know what I mean?
Power tripping probably.
Yeah, but she seemed like a nice lady, actually. I passed by like her interactions, like, yeah, I'm just doing my job. Like I got sent out here. Like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah,
Not do my job? Like,
she's bitter.
Fair.
I wonder if they intentionally, the people that they have working those routes, or any kind of similar route, or any kind of similar station, such as the one that we were at yesterday, if they actually have quotas on them. It's like you're not
I don't
doing
know,
your
yeah.
job if you don't at least get like X amount of tickets.
I don't know, because I felt like
Day.
she missed a lot of opportunities to just like murk everyone, because it's not just that strip, it's also like blocks around it. It was so funny. Lollapalooza was just like in his car just waiting for the lady.
Yeah.
Like, he was out here just scoping the scene.
Ridiculous though.
I passed by him and he's like, hey, I'm like, you scared the shit out of me. I'm like, what the fuck? Turn around, it's him. He's like, I'm just waiting for it. He was literally parked right behind the parking lot. It's like, I'm just waiting for her to leave. I'm like, yo, come enjoy the park. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean?
Yeah. But still, I mean, fuck that shit. Fuck that lady.
It's so funny when I rolled up on Lollapalooza, bro. This guy just came back from Thailand.
Oh, he did.
And yeah, he just can't because his daughter has like international schools out there in
Yeah.
Phuket, right? Making a really like pretty fucking good bank over there apparently, because there's so many expats that they cater to like expats basically. So expats obviously have more money compared to like the locals over there. But anyway, so
Supply and demand, baby.
yeah, so yeah, Lil Paul, man, shout out Lil Paul. That guy's a G. Man's fucking deaf, but he can't hear shit. You gotta fucking yell at him.
He's like pushing 80 now. He's
Something
getting
like
up
that.
there. Getting
Something
up
like
there.
that. But he's still active in the mind. But yeah, so in the middle of all that, fucking Donald J. Trump
The
had
real
an
Donald
assassination
J. Trump.
attempt.
The real one.
And it's kind of trippy lately. So apparently he was in Pennsylvania doing one of his one of his I guess MAGA rallies or whatever.
Is that the brand?
It's a rally, yeah. No, yeah. Everybody was still wearing those MAGA hats. I
Right.
kind of want one, to be honest with you.
It's kind
I kind of
of hard.
Yeah, it
Kinda
goes
tough.
hard in the paint, bro. But yeah, and then all of a sudden, all you hear is these gunshots, and one of them clipped his ear and and then all of a sudden, all the Secret Service obviously surround him to protect him and produce one of the hardest pictures of all time. Like
you could pull up and
that's just gonna be in the history books forever. Like we're always gonna remember where we were. It's kind of like a 9/11 kind of event. Do you actually? Speaking of which,
I do.
do you remember where you were? You were in Blessed Trinity,
I
right?
was in Blessed Trinity. It
Yeah.
was during school, and we were in the library, and they pulled up I don't know why they pulled up. I guess
They pulled it up.
they pulled
Yeah,
it up,
yeah.
yeah.
We got brought back to this to our classroom and they pulled it up.
They pulled it up on the VHS or whatever.
Yeah, the one that they roll it in. Yeah.
3. Oh man, but yeah, I was in the library, and then I don't remember the second crash, but I'm pretty sure we all saw it live because if you saw if you tuned
we
in
did.
after or around the time of the first crash,
sure.
you would have seen the second crash. But
Yeah.
that's where I was, and that was a weird day, man. It
Blessed
didn't even
Trinity
feel
shout.
real.
No, it didn't even feel real. Like,
It didn't
dude,
feel real.
there's videos of literally people like that live in New York that were just like having casual beers, like, oh look behind me, like
Yeah.
fucking a terrorist attack. I don't know. That shit's an inside job. Like
Crazy.
that shit is.
Well, they're saying this
fucking inside.
They're
job.
saying that this shit is an inside job too.
I mean, okay, yeah, we'll get to that. That's a very interesting
Let's just
take.
get into it,
But let's talk about because of 9/11. I mean, what's your bro? Like, I've seen enough videos at this point, especially from people that are like in architecture and just like physics in general. It makes no sense that the way that it fell, both buildings, the way that it just like it was literally a free fall of a collapse. Right, it looks like a demolition.
How was it supposed
basically.
to file?
Well, apparently, so I just watched one recently from like these engineers and like architects that were basically talking about how like if it did collapse and there was like it would have just squished. So let's say if
Isn't
like
that what happened though?
well it squished but it went all the way down. So how is it like the weight of like the building above it would not have been enough to make the entire building just collapse onto itself.
Really?
Yeah, exactly. You're talking about steel rebar from like hundreds of stories. I don't know about hundreds of stories,
but the fact
like
that it went all the way down.
all the way down, it looked like it's basically they're basically just like, yo, this is like a planned like it looks like a demolition,
right?
So because like okay, so think like just break down the logic, right? Where it's just like, okay, you have the buildings, you crash at the high. Okay, maybe if it was at the lower floors, maybe there would be enough weight, right? But if it's because the I'm gonna butcher this, but what the engineers and architects that were on this video were saying were just like,
let's pull up that video.
I don't even know what the video is called, but so
fuck. Keep going though.
Yeah, but like they were basically saying how even if it was a clean break where the plane was enough to just like take out the pegs or the steel bars that kind of supported the upper floors above that, even if all that weight came down, it would not have been a free fall like the way it was. It would have like crunched it and made like it would have squished it. It might not have been in see that. Yeah. So it's like implying that there's enough weight at those upper floors to bring all the structure below it all the way down. You see, you know what I'm saying? Like, it makes no sense.
Right.
Now, if there was like bare basements underneath it, maybe, like because now, like, but even then, like that would imply that there's something at the bottom that fucked the structure at the bottom, right?
Right.
I don't know, man. And then you hear about like certain key people or people that kind of like just randomly, just by coincidence, like we're not in that building today or during that time. It's fishy, bro. At the very least, it's sus. It's Susquehanna, bro.
It's Susquehanna for sure.
And I think now because of like people are so like what do you call it disillusioned by this, like because it's such a part of like our zeitgeist that like the people can just kind of look at this like, yeah, like this is, I don't know, I just don't buy that narrative of like, oh yeah, I buy the narrative of it actually being terrorists 100%. I'm pretty sure that that's the case, but whether or not the actual buildings, like it could very be the case, just like how we're, to segue into the situation that happened yesterday, where maybe they knew that those terrorists were there and just took advantage of the moment and be like, okay, like, yo, let's take this as an opportunity to make it even fucking bigger. So to get the American people on our side to go into fucking the Middle East. Because prior to that, people were not about trying to go into the Middle East because they were just coming off of what happened in the 90s with like Palestine and Iran. And they basically had like Desert Storm or whatever, right?
One of my homies yesterday was like, the fact that this, because they caught the shooter, and the fact that he also shot innocent people, kind of the fact that he shot innocent people proved that it couldn't have been an inside job. But then in my mind, I was just like, I even told him, I was like, dude, if you don't think the government's capable of even killing their own people.
Yeah, no, that's naive. That's naive. That's a naive.
Because this is exhibit A.
Yeah, exactly. This is if you believe that there is even an inkling of an inside job, kind of like, obviously, how am I going to confirm this? Yeah. I'm just like looking at it objectively as I can, and it looks more sus than it doesn't.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Definitely things about it that are sus.
Even
if
this,
you don't think so, if you don't even like question that, then it's just
even naive. This, bro. Like, yeah, exactly. It's naivete, right? But even this situation yesterday, there's a couple things about it that are kind of sus. Like, how is it that they didn't clear that vacant building? You would think that Secret Service would have like been on top of that, right?
Yeah.
And now you're telling me that as soon as he shot, they were able to locate him, kill him right away? I don't know. I'm not a fucking expert. I'm not an assassin. I'm not no Secret Service dude. But at the same time, that is kind of sus that it's like, okay, the guy started shooting and then immediately you were able to locate him, meaning you would have been able to locate him prior to that. And apparently there was a story about a guy that like called the police and kind of warned them like, yo, there's this guy that's kind of sus, like what the hell, right? Yeah. Like, and then like the police didn't do anything about it. But I don't know. It's still kind of early. But let's just talk about how this let's just pretend. Okay, let's talk about a couple scenarios, right? Let's pretend that it was an inside job. Let's put that off to the side for a moment. Let's pretend that it was like the Democrats that put it together. Talk about it being like, yo, that's kind of a kind of way to like kill the guy, because now you just like made him even like bigger and more. You almost made a fucking martyr out of him, and now he's only gonna get bigger. It's just like when they prosecuted him in New York, right? It's just like that actually did the opposite effect. If anything, it kind of like emboldened him more, even more.
Right.
It had the opposite effect. I don't know, and this is probably going to be the same situation here.
100%. I think if it's pretty much the writing's on the wall now. He's definitely going to win.
I think he's going to win. I mean,
very good.
Unless
before and even now, it's just like how. Yeah, he's basically a martyr. Yeah, that's a good
exactly. Because you've just like the thing is, people were like pissed off that he didn't die.
Yeah,
which is kind of fucked, because despite how much
it's fucked, but it's understandable.
It's understandable,
super understandable,
because emotions get into it, right?
And he's a very
polarizing, 100%
polarizing guy in history.
But I was saying yesterday, it's just like this is a reflection of how people are pissed off at the current status quo.
Yeah.
There would be no Donald J. Trump had politics actually worked prior to Donald J. Trump, meaning like Obama and everybody before, right? If there was like if the if politics actually worked the way that it probably ideally would fucking work, Donald J. Trump would be fucking still on like reality TV. You know what I mean? But I think okay, so it's just like saying like it's just like people wondering why is the far right rising in Europe? Are you kidding me? You're surprised that the far right and pro nationalists are rising in Europe? Do you see what's happening in Europe right now? If you're a Frenchman and your family have been French for hundreds of years, and then you see the way that your cities are basically crumbling to people that are coming from the outside, and not to say that I'm like anti-immigrant. I fucking like I'm an immigrant myself, right?
We're brown. Look at her.
But at the same time, I can also understand and empathize with someone that lives in a country and they've been in that country, their family's been in that country, and basically in certain communities are being overtaken by other communities that have no desire of trying to integrate and assimilate to the local culture. Wouldn't I mean? Can you at least kind of level with them and empathize where they're coming from? So I don't. I am completely. I knew exactly that this was going to happen. That like, okay, with all the like the influx of refugees and people that are going to these communities in a way that is not like sustainable or scalable. I'm like 100%. You're going to have people that are going to be pissed off about this, that are going to rise up, and the far right is just a natural reaction for that to happen. So people for them to be surprised about it, I'm like, yo, okay, if we're talking about naivete, that's naivete, right?
Yeah, no, we're seeing a little bit of that here too.
100%, bro. I saw something fucked yesterday. It made me feel kind of like I was just like, bro, okay, I understand that you're frustrated, but that's another thing. Okay, so I was watching a dad and his son, right? Caucasian man and Caucasian son. And this is important to note, right? Because they clearly look like they're fucking like Canadian, you know what I mean? And they're playing catch, and I saw the dad like going like this, like putting up the birds to like people across the street. I'm like, bro, like I was kind of laughing. I was like, well, bro, like why? Like in front of his kid, by the way. And this kid's like maybe 6, 7 years old.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? So old enough to kind of remember this kind of shit. You know what I mean? And why we say this because he turns to me because I was laughing, and he's just like, fucking immigrants, they don't fucking belong here. I'm like, God, like. Whew. Now I could understand where that's coming from because, to be honest, like I'm a little like, and I feel like a lot of people are also on the same page where it's just like, yo, it's too much. There's too many fucking people that are crowding like Mississauga, then GTA, and honestly, there are certain times where they just refuse. Like, look at like our upbringing, right? We came to this country, immigrants, and I felt like there was like a strong desire to actually assimilate and integrate to the local community. And I can't say the same thing for a lot of the people that are coming in here. And it's not their fault, really. I can understand where they're coming from too. I do blame the politicians for allowing this to happen because it's like in my opinion, it's a kind of a band-aid solution to the population problem that would have come into like our economy in the next 20, 30 years. Because let's face it, Canadians are just not fucking having kids. And if we don't have the people to kind of sustain that, our economy is going to get fucked to a generation, 2 generations from now. So I can understand. But at the same time, it's like the politicians' fault for not making it easier for Canadian families to actually have fucking families in the first place. But that's a whole other topic. So going back to the father and son, I'm just like, bro, this is a Bill Burr bit right now. Remember when he just like that bit about how he's talking about how like, you know, playing catch with your kid is like how you're downloading your fucking theories to that kid or whatever. Yeah. And I'm just like, yo, this is basically I'm watching the cycle of hate like in real life happen right now. Because although I'm obviously not exactly happy about what's going on in the country because of what's going on, I'd like to think that I wouldn't perpetuate hate in that same kind of fucking manner. You know what I mean? I don't know. Maybe I'm being hypocritical. I haven't really sorted out my feelings about that. But
that's an interesting topic, right? Because you look at Canada, you look at North America, and I guess taking away Mexico for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
We know you're still you're still part of us, North America, but just
Mm-hmm.
discarding you, putting you aside for a little bit, because this more so applies to Canada and the U.S., where there's the heritage that we have, at least from someone like myself that has grown up here my entire life, is that it's really just a combination of all these different cultures. And so I can see why people would get upset about people coming into their country that's not a US or a Canada, where our whole thing, our whole shtick is being multicultural.
Canada especially,
right? So like I see where that, that Frenchman example is something where that person would get upset because it's a very nationalist kind of thing. They have a lot of pride in their country.
There's a French identity that's being lost.
There's an identity that's being lost.
100%.
Right. But when it comes to Canada and the U.S., I don't think that applies a little bit.
America,
less.
100%. There's an identity. 1,000%.
Of patriotism, yes, but like when it comes to like the actual like, it's still kind of like a Canada where you have different backgrounds.
I think you're looking at it from a New York, from like blue state, like that's really because Canada, I would say more so is multiculturalism because of what happened in Trudeau's dad's time, actually, because of the way that he was allowing a lot of immigrants to come in. But prior to that, like look, if you look at America, the main immigration that happened like leading up to the 90s was essentially, obviously, well, I wouldn't even call it immigration, but African Americans from slavery, obviously, that's an obvious one. Chinese, because of the railroad system in California, that's another one. Japanese as well that were coming in. The Italians, so that the Italians, the Irish, and those are the main ones that happened in New York. But generally speaking, like everybody in the interior, there's not really any immigration. It's really just the coastal cities.
Right.
And so what we see a lot in like in our culture is obviously what happens out of LA and what happens out of New York. That's generally been like the hub of like entertainment like for years and years and years and years. So I think maybe you're just seeing like a small snippet of it, but everybody that's in
I did preface by saying it's through the eyes is like my own lenses.
Yeah, exactly, 100%. All I'm saying is that there's a stronger American identity, I would say, in the States in general compared to Canada. Right.
It's just so like at the point I was trying to make with that at the end of the day is bro, like I fucking love it that we have all these different cultures and we have different fucking weekends where, downtown you could have a Hindi weekend, and you can go out and get some fucking embrace some Hindi culture, get some Hindi food. And you have a Filipino weekend, you know what I mean? And so, very, very liberal kind of take on that. But I think the big underlying problem is it's just the amount of people we have. Who cares about what they look like or what kind of culture they have or what they're trying to bring, like, but at the end of the day, what makes Canada a beautiful country, despite everything bad or whatever that's going on, that's of your opinion, is, bro, you look around, there's so many different kind of looking people. You know what I mean? I think that's dope. It's super dope.
100%.
And the fact that we can like have those different weekends, and then on Canada Day, we're all wearing the same we're still rocking that red and white.
You know what the fucked up thing is? I haven't been seeing that at all. Maybe it's my own. Maybe it's my own like where I've been like at in general, but I haven't really been seeing a lot of people rep that red on Canada Day. Did you?
I didn't actually go out in Canada Day.
Yeah, I don't know. I noticed it myself.
That's besides the point. Yeah. I think the point is, at the end of the day is it's this whole immigration thing is more of a volume problem in my eyes.
Yeah.
Than it is like a culture thing, which I think you didn't even make that point, but I think just to iterate that, put that out there.
Yeah, no, 100%. I'm not looking at it like, like I know some people are just like of a certain like race or culture. There's like, we don't need any of that. I'm not looking at it from that.
People like that.
There's a lot of people like that.
Have that.
But all I'm saying, all around.
Yeah, it's all around.
All around. Generally, what I've been finding is that people are not really making an effort to actually assimilating and integrating based on the Canadian, like the Canadian identity. Like I'm proud to be fucking Canadian, even though I'm an immigrant here. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, like I just don't see that same pride from other people, I guess. I don't know. Maybe, and it's very anecdotal. 100%. I can accept that, right?
Yeah.
I could be completely off base here, but I think this this feeling, this sentiment has been being shared by a lot of fucking people that have been living here for an extended period of time, right?
Yeah.
I could be wrong.
It's kind of the beauty and also the ugly side of living in Canada and coming from a different country is it's beautiful because yeah, you get to come in here and no matter what kind of religion or background or culture you're
Mhm.
from,
Mhm.
you're accepted.
Mhm.
And like this, like you can call this place your home because
Mhm.
that's just how we ride, right? Like
Mhm.
that's just our shtick again as a country. But then the bad side of that too is like you're saying here is you kind of lose that identity. But
Mhm.
what I would like to ask you is like, man, what like as someone that's lived in Canada for almost 30 years, bro, like what really makes us distinct from like a US or like a just a what do you say to someone that's like, "Oh, you're from Canada." What's your whole thing, you know? Like what makes you Canadian, you know? Cuz even people I'll give you an
I think
example.
the main thing is
Yeah,
go
the
ahead, go ahead.
example that I is that when I asked my girlfriend this question because my girlfriend identifies like her culturally, she's one of those she's half white, half Chinese, but her white side she can go all the way back to like her roots in probably like Irish
Mhm.
background and whatever, but she calls herself Canadian
Mhm.
because her family on her dad's side has lived in Canada for
Generations.
several generations.
Yeah.
But then hearing that, you don't really hear people say like I'm half Canadian, half Chinese, and the response to that, the response to hearing that is like, oh, but you say you're Canadian, but like what do you actually mean?
Yeah.
What is it
Right.
actually, right?
I think that, you know what? Shout out to Maisie. I think that's fucking dope.
It is,
I think
yeah.
that's
But
fucking
even for
sick.
her to say that,
Right.
it's kind of like she's like a little uncomfortable because she knows the follow-up question
The
to that
follow-up
is
question is like,
what
what
is
are
it
you
actually?
actually?
Yeah.
And I think that is a result of just the nature of where we live, which is a metropolitan city, generally speaking. If you were to go outside to like, the like in
Saskatchewan.
the rural areas, saying that you're Canadian, that's just accept that you're fucking
Yeah.
Canadian. You know what I mean? But because of the nature of where we live in a predominantly like immigrant area,
Right,
right?
right.
So the natural question is to be like, okay, what are you at? Okay, I get that you're Canadian, but what are you actually? And I think that's completely fine. But I think what makes us different from like us as in like in our general area, because there is a difference between Canadians that live in this type of area versus Canadians that live
Word.
in like Saskatchewan versus like or even like in
Newfoundland.
Quebec.
Right.
Quebec are Canadian. Like in my opinion, they're like like Newfoundlanders, Quebec people that were actually from the pioneer days. Like when it was still like the fucking Upper Canada and Lower Canada, those are Canadians.
Mm.
Respect to them. You know what I mean? But for us living in in the GTA, for example, I think what makes us distinctly different is the fact that we've grown up with so many different cultures that we and it's like it's a real melting pot, right? Like we like look at our upbringing. Like I have friends that are basically the United Nations, and now if you go to the States, for example, depending on which state that you're like, if you go to New York, it's very similar. LA maybe not so much. LA is a little bit more of a black and Asian community, like a mix. But generally speaking, if I when I go to like Iowa, it's like an odd, not an oddity, but a rarity for someone to have a friend that's of Asian descent, of Indian descent, of Portuguese descent. You know what I mean? Whereas us,
Ottawa, really.
we grew up with like in Applewood, we grew up with predominantly Polish, Italian, Portuguese, some Spanish, and Filipinos
Mm.
and some white people, of course, naturally, right, and some Newfoundlanders we talked about in the other episode. So I think what makes us cool, what makes us kind of distinct when we talk about, hey, well, I'm from Toronto, it's like like I am almost familiar with so many other cultures because of that, and I think that's dope. And that's very unique.
It
You know
is.
what I mean? Like literally, like some people will sometimes if when I was traveling a lot in the States, there would be that like one Indian person or that one Chinese person or that one like a Nigerian person that's working with just like all white people. You know what I mean? And I could always relate to them. It's like, yo, how do you know this? Like I'd be like, oh, like, you know, like, where are you from? Da, 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 da. And then we would talk about their culture. I'm like, they're just like, they're like surprised. Like, how do you know all this?
Oh, right.
I was like, oh, I grew up in fucking Toronto. Like that's literally like I have friends like I grew up with people that are from your culture, right? So I think that's really cool about our culture.
Right.
But I think also like the other thing that kind of makes us distinct from the Americans is how, generally speaking, we're not as unliked as the Americans around the world. You know what I mean? Like we're kind of seen as, like, the vibe that I get is that we're kind of seen as like the cooler version of America.
Or hip.
We're more, not necessarily cooler. Sorry, not like cooler in a sense, like not cooler like in a hip kind of way. Cooler in a sense like, yo, they're not starting wars.
Yeah.
They're not doing embargoes.
Peace and love.
Exactly. Like if you look at like Canadian history and wars and whatever, they're actually they got a sick track record of being like going in there, especially World War I and World War II. Like they had a history of going in there and fucking kicking ass.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But then not staying and being fucking what do you call it? Not starting empires. Generally speaking, starting empires around the world is unpopular. Right, and Canada's never really started empires like that. You know what I mean? I think due in part to, we are technically part of an empire ourselves, which is the English Empire. Right, like we didn't have to fight for our independence like the way that the Americans did, and we don't have an economy that kind of allows us to throw weight around like that.
Yeah,
and maybe if we did, maybe we would. Who knows? Like, it's kind of tough to say.
So let's get back to this whole the real.
We went on a fucking tangent there.
Yeah, we did. I don't even know how that came up, but
I don't know. I think that might be like a lot of pent up fucking, not even pent up, because like I'll talk about this with some of my friends. Some of our friends I feel like I'm a little bit more of the level headed in certain group chats, because certain group chats get wild when it comes to just like
patriotism,
just blindly hating. And there's a lot of that on all sides.
Well, I think this is a topic that is causing a lot of blind hate right now. Well, people don't like to think of themselves as blind, but I think there's a lot of.
I think a 1,000%, especially with the conversation that we had yesterday when we heard, like, you know, look, if you want, okay, I can understand that you don't like Donald Trump. I can completely understand where that's coming from. I get it. Right. But for you to say, I'm okay with him dying, you're basically saying, I'm okay with the democratic process in a democracy not working. That's basically what in my opinion, when I hear that, that's what I'm hearing.
It's a bar.
You know what I'm saying? It's just like, okay, like, you might hate him as much as you can. Okay, but let him actually run, because that's a sign of a free fucking country, right?
That is a very good point.
So if you're saying, oh, let's kill him now, that you're basically saying, let's not have a free fucking country where people can actually make a choice and have the self-determination. That's essentially what I'm hearing when I hear that shit. You know what I mean? If that's the case, where you feel that strongly about it, the thing is, you can't, especially for somebody that lives in Canada, you can't do shit about it anyway. It's really up to the American people. That's the beauty of a sovereign nation. Just like how, as much as I'm not a fan of fucking JT, I wouldn't want to wish death upon him. I would wish for him to just get the fuck out of office.
There's a lot of people that do.
Oh, exactly. And
which is wild.
It's fucked, because the thing is, they're so displaced from the scenario, right? If you were sitting in the same room as Donald J. Trump, I bet you 100% that you would take that back.
Right.
I bet you a lot of people that wish death upon JT would take that back if you were in the same room, because you're just so far. The distance between you is perceived distance between you is so far. But I think and honestly, I feel like a lot of it is because people have certain echo chambers, or what do you call it? What you know the term that I'm trying to say?
Biases, echo chambers.
Well, biases. But what I'm saying is that because people fail to have actual conversations with the other side, people just tend to stay in their own tribe.
Yeah.
And then they just trying to one up each other in terms of like you know what I mean, like how they feel. And it honestly, it's kind of hard having conversations with both sides. People don't know how to have conversations anymore, like actual civil conversations, where it's just like, let's not devolve into fucking shouting matches. And like any time that somebody holds a belief so strong that even if, when presented with logic and objective truth, still hold onto that, that's a sign of a mental fucking sickness. Not a sickness, like a mind virus. You've been infected by a mind virus. You know what I mean? That's just my opinion. And honestly, the sad part about what's going on in our society now is that it's really being made worse by social media. Is people will stay to one side and not actually see and not actually have proper conversations, discussions, and exchanges of ideas in a fruitful way to see that we're all basically the same people. We just disagree on certain things,
Yeah.
but we're all the fucking same.
Yeah.
Why are we holding on to these ideologies so strongly that now we're wishing death upon other people? That's fucking weird, bro.
It's
You're
pride.
weird for that
It's
shit.
pride,
It's definitely pride, part of
It's-
it. Ego,
narcissism.
narcissism.
I don't know, man. It's funny. Anytime someone has something bad to say about a politician, or they kind of show you why their belief system is the way it is. We saw this yesterday too, at the party where just some people have some thoughts about, you ask them the question, why don't you like the guy, and then they give you,
Thank you for bringing that.
and then they give
Go ahead.
you like a handful of things. They give you like a laundry list of things.
But is it enough for you to wish death upon them? That's
Right.
fucking
That's
weird.
one. But number two, it's like, okay, but then it's also like, what's the bigger context behind that? It's like, you can give me all these points and that's fine. But like, are you really telling me that one day this person just woke up and decided, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do A, B, and C of
There's
what you
context
just
behind
said,
it. Yeah,
and that's what it is.
exactly.
You never thought to like stop yourself and say like, okay, A, B, and C. That sounds terrible, but like, what is the bigger picture behind these? Like what actually was the thought process that went into this? There's that part that's missing. And I think that
Yeah,
if people what it is at the end of the day is headline hunting.
it's a gut shot. It's a gut shot reaction
To a headline.
to a headline.
Right.
It's an emotional reaction,
Right.
and instead of actually, okay, like I bet you they are not actually looking into what the policies are as to why
The whole
this came
framework.
about.
And I get
Exactly.
it. It's like, that's homework, bro. Like, no one wants to be doing that. That's why none of us are
Exactly.
in that world or running for this job. But
for you to hold an idea so strongly based on headlines,
yeah,
based on emotional reaction, without actually doing the work to have that opinion, that's fucking weird.
based on just like a 500
That's
word
fucking weird,
article that
bro.
you read on
So
a Sunday night.
that's why, like, when I have these conversations around that, it's like, but why? Why do you hate them so much?
Yeah.
And then, yeah, you're right. You run off.
I would love to know, bro, if I asked that question and someone was like, yo, you ever heard of like policy fucking
Exactly.
XYZ, man?
Exactly.
And they went on this whole thing, and I'm like, bro, you did your fucking research?
Exactly.
If that's true, everything you're saying is true, and I can fact check this, man, that's pretty fucked up.
Remember?
I'd be willing to have that conversation.
Remember when I brought up the border?
Yeah.
Remember when I brought up the border? I'm like, let's put ourselves in the situation of like people in Texas, and wouldn't you be upset if you had like literally hundreds of thousands of people just coming into the without doing the proper process of actually entering the country? I could completely understand where they're coming from, and that obviously they want to come into the country. But you're telling me that you're okay with potential criminals, and the rebuttal was, oh, but they're taking up the jobs that normal people don't want to do. I'm like, really? Really?
Yeah.
Is that your main kind of rebuttal? Because how with all the people that are being like raped and murdered right now by the illegal aliens? Let's not have that conversation. And it's like the statement was, but I'm okay with that. What? Like, you're okay? What? And now, to be completely on, like, look, I love all of them. I try to separate the person from their ideas.
Yeah.
because I know, and I'm guilty of it. I know that people hold ideas based on emotion and based on sometimes things that are illogical, things that are probably not aligned with them as a person themselves. I can separate the person from from their ideas.
You have to
You
be
know what I mean?
willing to be able to, because at
You
the end of the
have
day, if you
to.
don't, then you're just gonna hate
Oh, you're just gonna hate everybody. Exactly. So that's what I mean. Like that's why I love our family, but I'm not gonna be one of those people where it's like, oh, because they hold these ideas, now I can't talk to them. Like that's fucking retarded too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
Like-
Nor am I going to spend the time to convince them if I find that
Exactly. Where it's not worth. This is what I'm saying. Where
Yeah.
I wish more people are actually willing to be wrong,
Yeah.
willing to actually. And I wish this
Just be
upon
happier.
I wish this upon myself too. Where it's just like I'm not married to an like I really like to I really like to I really try to separate, like actually not hold an idea so strongly where I can be convinced otherwise. If you could present me with an argument where it's like, oh fuck, like actually, you know what, you're right, like that makes more sense.
Right.
I would like to think that I have the grace to fucking do that. But some people, I don't I don't know that they do, man.
Yeah. Especially politics.
It is a skill too, though. I think it is something that people have to work on.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting here saying like, oh, I'm the superior fucking like scholar and fucking, you know, I just know everything. But what I am trying to say is it is something that I need to work on.
Yeah.
I think it's something that everybody needs to work on, and everybody needs to acknowledge that they need to fucking work on that.
I think
that's a good start, right?
Most people do, man. It's interesting because on the one hand, like there's just so much information out there.
There is a lot of information,
There's
and it's
so
hard.
much, man. So it's like, yes, I could see the merit, although it's very little merit, but there is at the end of the day still merit in being able to just headline hunt and look at things and say, oh, okay, this is coming from a credible, because there's just not that much time a day for people to be going around fucking reading whole policies from start to end, right? But at the end of the day, as long as you put a little bit of effort in, and you just hold on to that, 10 minutes that you spent on a Saturday morning, and use that as the basis or foundation for your entire opinion about something or someone, then I think that's already going
a good start,
on the right track. And also not shitting on the other person right away because of how they might.
Yes, exactly. Because then it just evolves into
like right away.
Yeah.
As soon as you say something that's like not aligned with them, then it's like, they're already on their guard.
They're already on their guard.
They're already playing defense.
Exactly.
They're squaring up man to man. Like
exactly.
But you got to be willing to have that humility, and I think a lot of that.
Humility is a good word. 100%.
I think a lot of it, yes. I think a lot of it is humility at the end of the day, because I think the reason why people get on guard a lot when they have someone like either yourself or me that's like kind of pushes back a little bit. I know this is particularly with my significant other, having arguments with her, but what people do is they get on guard because they're almost like scared. They're scared of like, going down there, number one, but number two, to follow up on that, they're scared of being proven wrong
because they're scared to be exposed for not having not actually like they realize, why do I have this belief? Oh fuck, I just accepted that shit at face value. I never actually did the work to actually have this belief.
Right.
And therefore, instead of just acknowledging that perhaps I don't actually know what the fuck I'm talking about, I'm just going to dig in, hold my ground, and make it a reaction like, well, you're fucking wrong. You don't know what the fuck you're talking about. But really, you're actually just looking at a mirror and talking to yourself and telling yourself you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. And that upsets you.
Yeah.
That upsets you.
That's 100% what it is.
That's 100% what it is. Because I've been guilty of it. And I'm just like, wait. But I think and again, I'm not sitting here being like I'm fucking better than everybody, but I like to I think something that people fail to have is self-reflection as well, right? Self-reflection and having the humility of being like, you know what? Yeah, I didn't do the work to actually have this opinion.
Right.
So why am I gonna
I'm even on
dig in my heels? Exactly. Why am I gonna dig in my heels? What the fuck? Like,
yeah, 100%, man.
But the thing is, people a lot of time hold these beliefs so strongly because it's what their tribe holds so strongly. And when somebody, and they're so used to just fucking having a circle jerk around their fucking opinion, and then the moment that somebody like you and I, because we do the same thing, will challenge that, immediately it's like, oh fuck, wait a second, let me do a fucking rewind back to these conversations. oh fuck, actually, I don't have a response for that. Oh fuck, like you know what I mean? And they panic, and then they make it. And this is the classic move, and it's just like having a fight with your girl. It's just like the moment that they start bringing up other shit, you know that you fucking won.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like, why are you bringing this shit up from fucking 6 months ago? What the fuck are you talking about?
It's like, why are you like this?
Yeah, exactly. Get the fuck out of here.
What?
Like, no.
You're so exhausting.
But at the same time, especially for you and Maisie, it's like, you know, like you would like to think that you can have these conversations and be safe in having these conversations, right? Yeah. That's your significant other. But that's a different dynamic from other people that don't have an emotional like connection to you.
Yeah.
Where they don't know that you're coming from a good place. They don't know like that you're just challenging them to find to eventually get to the truth. Because when I challenge people, it's just like I'm coming from it where it's just like, okay, I hold this belief, you're challenging my belief, so I'm going to like at least challenge to see if you hold that belief, because if you don't actually have if you don't come to the table with some sort of bars that actually is in truth and objective truth, I have no reason to not come off of this island of where my belief is. But if you give me some bars, yo, I might fucking come over to that island too. In my opinion, more often than not, it's usually somewhere the objective truth is usually somewhere in the middle. Usually, right? So from the far left to the far right and everything between, it's usually somewhere in the middle. I would like to think I would just hope for people to just have these conversations. Don't just be open-minded. Don't hold any beliefs so strongly where you start fucking getting emotional about it to the point where now you can't have a civil conversation with other people, because at the end of the day, we're more alike than we are different. Like you and I fucking wipe and take a shit the same way.
Yeah.
What the fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean?
I saw a fucking beautiful show about that. Have you ever seen Beef on Netflix?
With
cast?
Yeah. I saw the first couple of episodes. I didn't really get into it.
So it was really good. And this is kind of like a little spoiler warning at the end of the day, but what happens essentially, like these two people get into like a whole feud that sparks a whole it's the whole show is that it started from
based on this feud
that in the beginning where they didn't know each other, the two main characters, and by the end of the show, because like the whole premise is that they hate each other. It was a road rage incident that caused the whole thing. Right. It's actually a really well written show. Yeah. But the solution at the end of the day was for them to be completely isolated. You have two different people that hate each other initially. You know what they did? They were isolated in the fucking deserts of California, and they got high together.
Yeah, they got like ayahuasca trip.
Right.
Yeah.
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 They basically had like berries or whatever, like wild fruit up there, and they got high.
Yeah.
So they went on a psychedelic trip essentially, and that's what they caused them to like open up, be able to like actually communicate with each other and talk about their differences, talk about their lives.
That's why psychedelic trips are fucking so useful, because it is ego. It's treated with the right respect. It is ego defeating, and
I had one this last weekend, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
you went into the cottage?
Cottage, but 100% finish that thought.
Yeah. So what I'm getting at is like a lot of people will use it for partying and whatnot. No judgment, whatever. It's fun, whatever. But when treated with the right respect, psychedelics can open up another world of perspective for you.
Yeah.
And if you're open to it, you can come out of it feeling a lot more connected and a lot more like refreshed, like as if you defragged your brain. I don't know how else to put it.
That's accurate. So that was the point I was trying to make by bringing that up, is that, man, like I genuinely feel like if everyone just went on like a mandatory trip, once, twice a year, I think that would be a net positive.
Now you're treading on conspiracy theories as to why these psychedelics were made into class 1 drugs in the first place,
bro.
If you're the government and wanted people to be controlled and wanted them to just be good civil servants and whatnot, and just like do everything that you want them to do, would you want them to have mind-opening, mind-freeing experiences? Probably not on some 1984 Orwellian shit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But, yeah. I mean, look. I am not. I don't really mess around with that stuff anymore. Anyway, because I'm a big believer in that you can actually attain that just from self meditation
True.
and
Yeah.
just actually taking the time to be more self reflective. In my opinion,
Yeah.
because that's the reason why, like, I think monks will forego attachments with real life, and I think this was brought up with in the Rogan podcast at some point, where, and I'm completely on the same page. I agree. Where they're just like, that's probably why don't they're not part of society, because they probably learn the skills to just run those psychedelic trips on their own and tap into something that's outside, like that's disconnected from this realm. You know what I mean? Because that's essentially, in my in my experiences, that's what's happening when you're having a psychedelic trip. Is you're entering another plane of existence, another realm. You know what I mean? And it's something where I feel you're a lot more sensitive to energy. You could feel, like, remember the what we did in Niagara, for example, right?
Yeah.
But anyway, I think it's another conversation, another topic as far as psychedelic trips. But where were we as far as like the?
Well, yeah, that's the reason why I brought it up,
Yeah.
because you have such a polarizing figure in Trump, and I just feel like, man, like there's got to be some kind of thing that we can do to get these people to look eye to eye, to try to reach some middle ground, because you can't be. I don't know if it's good for, like, man, as much as I think he's going to win this next term, it's like, what is next? Like, where do we go from here? Like, is it just going to get worse and worse? Like,
Well, if you look at world history, and if you believe that history, history is poetry, things repeat, and there are certain signs that happen consistently before certain things, we are not headed in the right direction right now. So there's a lot of things that are happening, like, globally from a political standpoint, that mirror what's happened leading up to, like, World War One, for example, where there's defense pacts, partnership pacts. So, for example, was it Philippines and Japan that just signed a defense pact together, partnership, where just like, basically, like, yeah, look that up real quick because maybe I'm misquoting it. I'm pretty sure it's Philippines and Japan. The Philippines and Japan signed a signed defense, yeah. The newly signed agreement allowing Japanese troops to visit the Philippines for joint drills. And when was this? 13 hours ago. So leading up to World War One, for example, because countries felt like the growing tensions were just going to spill over, they started doing defense partnerships. Same thing happened in World War II too. And now you're seeing it here again. Like, this is usually not a good sign when countries start doing this.
right, getting ready,
It's getting ready, bro. And so
going to the gym.
I'm hoping that, and the thing is, the Democrats were always the ones that were warmongers, which is kind of ironic, given that they're the ones that are always championing social issues. You know what I mean? Meanwhile, they're the ones that are actually starting a lot of wars. But I would hope that if and when Trump does get into office, that he strongholds all of these countries to being like, yo, we're not doing World War III. No, thank you. Let's get the fuck out of Ukraine. Let's because if you look at the history of NATO, like, NATO's, in my opinion, kind of in the wrong here, because it was always agreed upon that they would not cross a certain red line. Ukraine was that as part of that red line. So if you're Russia and you saw your natural enemy breaking an agreement that broke that basically said, hey, you're not going to cross a certain line, because if you look at the bases around Russia, you would feel like you're being fucked with, 100%. Like, if you they're just getting inching closer and closer and closer and closer, right? So I'm not here saying pro Russia, like Putin's fucking in the right or whatever. All I'm saying is, objectively, I can understand where their paranoia is coming from, right? And especially, well, one of the encouraging things that I did see over the past few weeks is the amount of banks that are failing in China, because that, I don't know if that affects anything of what the Chinese military is going to be doing, but that's usually probably not a good time to attack Taiwan anytime soon if your fucking economy is going to shit right now.
Well, isn't that the whole play with U.S. being in Ukraine? It's just bleeding out Russia.
Well, I guess that's one effect of it for sure. But I think honestly, if let's put on our tinfoil hats here for a moment, is that this is just a way for the U.S. to the military industrial complex to just make more money. It boils down to fucking money.
Right.
Because because after Afghanistan and they left Afghanistan, which who do we have to thank for that? Trump,
right?
Trump, like fucking he, got a lot of done out of like the Middle East. What's it called? So now the military industrial complex, we're just like, well, how the fuck are we gonna make more money? Well, let's fucking start getting involved with NATO and Ukraine.
Yeah, I wonder if that budget has ever gone out in public.
The budget?
Yeah, as far as like what they actually spend all
It's
that money on.
well, I don't know, bro. Probably not, considering the fact that Zelensky's wife apparently bought like a $4 million Bugatti.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and meanwhile, this guy's like doing a world tour, asking for a lot of money. I mean, if a guy's saying like, "Oh, if you don't give us money, we're gonna fucking lose this war," and then meanwhile he's fucking buying like Bugattis and shit. I mean, how would you, like? How does that look like? What are the optics behind that? You know,
it's wild.
But yeah, so look China's banking sector. So I don't know. I mean, does this move the needle in terms of the likelihood of China going for Taiwan at some point? I don't know. There's also conspiracy theories about how like America would trigger, or at least kind of like especially with the Democrats, they're pushing for more conflict, because if it does reach a world war, you know what happens with the presidential race in the fall? Probably wouldn't happen because of wartime.
That's a 5-head move then, if the Dems are
look that up actually, because I've been perpetuating that. I actually don't know if that's the case. If there was the war, would that prevent an election from happening?
Yeah, GPT question.
I'm pretty sure it does, because of the wartime. During wartime, I don't know that they would have an election. Yeah. So.
Or if you mean president of the United States, war doesn't change the election schedule. Even during the Civil War, Abraham Lincoln had to run for re-election in 1864. He stayed in office only because he won that election. It wasn't automatic.
Oh, okay. So that's Dan Robrish.
That's Dan Robrish, and he studied at Los Angeles City College.
I don't know. Okay, let's
Let's look at Tim Sayo. He didn't graduate from anywhere. There's an election.
Fuck Quora. Let's actually go to ChatGPT. Let's see what ChatGPT has to say.
Yeah, it's a ChatGPT.
Yeah.
If there was World War III and was just weeks away, would that election
still happen?
In the event of a world war, the decision to proceed with scheduled elections would depend on numerous factors, including the severity of the conflict, the stability of governmental institutions.
You got to specify for U.S.
Oh. Specifically.
Would World War III?
How about for
the U.S. States specifically?
Okay. Ultimately, any decision to postpone or alter elections in the U.S. would likely involve careful deliberation among federal, state, and local authorities guided by.
This sounds like a fucking political answer.
Generally, the U.S. Constitution mandates the federal elections be held at prescribed times, specifically every 2 years for member. Yeah, so
for the House of the Representatives,
right, and every 6 years for senators.
So just Google if. Wait,
here we go.
Yeah. No, this is not a non-answer.
Yes. All right. Regardless, whether they do or they don't, point is That
Sounds like there could be a
could
chance,
be a
that they could
chance.
postpone
Doesn't
it.
sound like a 0.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Big 5-head move for sure. For sure.
I don't know. Then you can get into like, is U.S. really a democracy, or is it just a one party? Like,
yeah.
I don't know, bro.
Definitely the Dems be acting up, man. The Dems be demming.
Yeah.
But fuck, man. What else happened?
What else happened, man? So in sports news, I don't think we talked about Alex Boltan. Did we talk about?
He wants to fight again, doesn't
he? Wants to fight again, but did we talk about him knocking out Jerry?
Yeah, we did.
I think we did, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
Crazy.
Crazy.
On a tear, man.
What else?
Tear.
Copa America, fucking Canada dropped the bag, bro.
Right there,
dude.
Against Uruguay.
Against Uruguay, so they were playing for the bronze medal, and
we lost.
It was 1-1 in going into the second half, and Canada was playing as if they were playing for Trump, bro. Honestly, but they scored a goal to make it 2-1. Like,
drop the bag.
But then instead of parking the bus, which in soccer terms means just fucking being conservative and playing D-ball, they were still fucking aggressive. And then Luis Suarez fucking goes in. Great goal. Like, objectively, it was a fucking amazing goal. But yeah, it ended up going to PK, and we lost in the fucking PK, bro. But today, Colombia, Argentina. It's so funny because like in the group chat that I have with like the guys from Colombia.
You didn't even name a game back there,
brother. So but like it was funny because I for whatever reason I just forgot. I'm just like, yo, who's trying to go to Argentina this because we were actually talking about it like in Colombia. I was like, yo, we got to go back to South America, right?
Right.
And then I completely spaced out that, and then everybody's like, "Yo, what the fuck? Those are the ops right now." I'm just like, "No, yo, you didn't let me finish, bro. I was just like to rub it in, bro. Obviously." Yeah. So a bunch of us are gonna get together. Actually, if you're not doing anything, bro, reach. We're gonna go to Mal's house and watch the game over there.
Oh, tonight?
Yeah.
But yeah, no. Shout out to Canada, man.
Yeah, they definitely did a lot better than most people expected, for sure.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, man.
And I think hopefully that also is going to be a sign of things to come in the Olympics for Canada too.
Dude, if there's one thing that I'm really excited for is for Canadian sports, bro. We're our basketball team is looking solid.
Yeah, exactly.
Soccer I didn't even know about until Copa.
People were pissed off that it was like they were making comparisons between Canada's team, like I think it was like the 90s and early thousands or some shit, to Canada's team now. It was like back then it was like it's all white people, and then now it's like all black people. And people are pissed off. Just like, this doesn't look like Canada. Like,
oh god, yeah, there you go.
Like, shut up, bro.
So stupid, man. But yeah, I love to see that, man. You love to see Canadian sports on the rise.
Yeah,
we the North, baby. What? Not bad for a country with what? 40 million people, 30.
Yeah, exactly.
Not bad.
But I still do want to go back to, or rather, I still want to visit Argentina for sure. I really, really fucking fell in love with Colombia and just being in Medellin. But
no, this guy can't go anywhere without
brother
the soca.
Yeah, soca. This guy's reggaeton, brother.
Reggaeton.
Soca's like Trinidad, Tobago, fucking the Caribbean,
very
bro.
Passive Canadian.
So what else happened?
What else happened?
Marathon training is going to shit. Not really to shit. I can't lie.
I'm all right. I'm doing.
You're good. This guy's been doing like 20K runs. Like, it seems every other day, bro.
Yeah, once a week. That's my weekly.
Is it once a week? I swear
like,
it was more than once a week.
I try to do it like every.
That's pretty good. So next Saturday I'm going to do a 20K for sure.
Yeah,
that's what I'm aiming for.
I mean, I'm only doing it now because I don't want to. I want to go on race day and just like be
chill,
fine the next day.
Yeah, exactly.
So what I actually plan on doing probably should start this month, but maybe I'll hold off in August. Is just doing like one monthly 40K. Just fucking send it.
Yeah. Eh?
Yeah.
Damn,
because I at least want to do like a couple before.
I might do one, like maybe 2 weeks before.
I'd be down to do it together.
Yeah, I'd be down. I'd be down 2 weeks before. But what do you think? Should we wear MAGA hats during the marathon?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
Yeah.
Red and white in there.
Let's get. I'm down to wear some like American shorts. You know what I mean? Like, no, but we do have. That would piss off our cousin for sure.
Oh man, yeah, you would hate us.
He actually no, he's gonna join our team though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, because I asked him, I'm like, yo, are you on a team right now? He's like, nah. I'm like, yo, reach ours, bro. We're running for Autism Ontario.
sponsored.
Yeah. And then like
Oh man, if we pull out the race day in that drip,
oh, that would be hilarious.
he's not gonna run with us.
Yeah, exactly. He would disown us probably.
Yeah.
Love you, boy, Dick, bro. Love you, my boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, like, even though we kind of disagree on from a politics standpoint, it would never get to the point where he's like, yo, I'm not talking to you again, bro. Fuck you. Like, that's so stupid when people
Or
do that.
should it? Yeah, like that's why. Well, how does it go? Like you don't talk about politics to the dinner table. That's why. Like that's why.
I honestly think that I don't agree with that. I think you should.
100%.
I think you
I only
should.
brought it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree. I think you should have topic. You should be able to talk.
You should be able to talk about everything.
There's
right?
I mean, there's lines to be drawn depending on the context. Like, obviously, I wouldn't want to talk about politics with like just a fucking, I don't know, just some random person.
Mm-hmm. But I think that's part of the reason why we're in where we are right now.
Time for it.
Because no, what I'm getting at is like why people don't know how to have conversations around politics and religion because they don't, because it's taboo.
Yeah.
And it's kind of doing ourselves a disservice.
That's true.
Having that policy of like, oh, don't talk about that stuff. No, you should be talking about
well,
stuff.
if you want to go in, if put our tinfoil caps on a little bit, right?
Yeah.
It's maybe that adage came from.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Keep your
Fuck,
population.
damn, bro, you might be onto something.
Yeah,
Shit.
might be onto something there.
Holy, that's deep, actually.
You never know.
I never actually thought like, what's the etymology of that saying? I don't know.
You don't know, right?
Maybe he is from the government, bro. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. Let's look it up.
There it is.
See what Google says.
Let's ask him. Fuck it. Where did
Like, what is the etymology of don't talk about politics?
look at these? Where you just said etymology?
Yeah, ETY.
Whatever that
was like
of
don't talk about.
politics at the dinner table.
Yeah, where did that come from?
See what CBS says about this.
Bunch of cucks at CBS. No, I'm joking.
Oh fuck,
This is MSM, bro. We can't trust this.
that's true.
No. I'm fucking around. Let's actually read it.
Terrible.
Oh my gosh, you're using an ad blocker, bro. How
There you go.
dare you, bro?
I haven't turned it off yet. Oh shit. Here we go.
What the hell?
Okay, here we go. Here we go. Here. Where's scroll
Don't.
dinner?
There's a big transition. Where are you? Don't talk about. That doesn't talk about this. Search etymology. Just do that one. So just just clear all that and search etymology of, and then yeah, exactly. Of, don't talk about politics at the dinner table. Yeah, there you go. Damn, bro. Yo, the fact that we can't really find a good answer right now is
Hey, that's very telling.
It's telling that
It's
it might
very
be
telling.
the fucking government.
The fucking government's behind.
Definitely the Rothschilds. The Rothschilds, 100%.
Oh yeah. Can't have these motherfuckers talking about our wrongdoings at their dinner table.
God damn it.
We gotta advertise this shit. You know, we gotta
bro.
put out some.
No, we have to put it on an awareness campaign, bro. I think we need to start a grassroots movement that where we say, do talk about politics, religion, and sex at the dinner table.
Do it.
Especially at the dinner table. talk about what kind of freaky shit that you're into. Can you imagine? People.
Yeah. Let's have an open discourse. Man.
Oh my gosh.
Talk about our dicks.
Yeah, exactly.
And
You know what I mean?
But yeah,
it's so funny. One of our teammates, I'm not gonna name any names, but he has 3 daughters, right? And the youngest one, so 2 of his daughters trains now at jujitsu, and it was cool because we've known these girls since they were like little kids. Like he used to bring them to the gym, not even to train, but just to like get used to coming to the gym, and it so that by the time they were ready to train, it wouldn't be like a big thing for them to reach. They wanted to come, you know what I mean? And I honestly really look up to him. Like the way that he like one of the baddest motherfuckers out there, but just like also a sweetheart, and just all around good dad, man. Like the way that he carries himself with his daughters. But anyway, so his youngest, who we've known since she was literally just a newborn, he started bringing her to the gym, and she's like 3, I think, just turned 4, around the same age as Bella actually. And I come in and I overhear him asking her, "Hey, what do girls have? What do boys have?" And I'm like, "Yo, what the hell? Like she's so young, you know what I mean?" And then he's just like, "Yeah, I'm trying to get in there before like she goes to school and they start fucking giving her all these mind viruses about like gender identity and shit." I'm like, and that's a perfect example of how it starts at home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Some people just like are okay with letting fucking teachers, essentially strangers, like teach their kids about like these like really important things. You know what I mean?
Fair enough. Yeah.
And I was just dying. I'm like, yo, you're a different lad, but it makes sense.
Yeah.
Carry on.
That's amazing. I love that.
Shout out that guy, bro. I'm not gonna say his name, but like that's my dude,
about.
bro. Yeah.
But yeah, man, it does start up at home. And you're right, yeah. That now that I think about it, yeah, fuck the Rothschilds, but yeah, you ought to be having more of those, because then at the very least it goes back to what we were talking about before too. If you have that kind of discourse, first of all,
and a healthy
being
discourse,
more exposed to it,
100%,
so that you can have, a
more well-rounded opinion.
Well-rounded opinion when you go out there in the wild. You got your Pokemon trainer vest on and you're ready to rock.
And I feel like you're less likely to be infected by mind viruses. Now, in fairness, you could be like, depending on how you handle it, you could be infecting with mind viruses as well. But all I'm saying is that I feel like you're going to be better protecting them against things that are not as perhaps well thought out. You're essentially, what I'm essentially suggesting is foster more critical thinking. Being able to challenge and be skeptical around things and not just accepting things at face value.
Yeah, don't just
having an emotional knee-jerk reaction to things, right?
That's another one too.
And I'm like I said, I'm not sitting here from a fucking pedestal saying that I'm perfect at this. This is something that you have to constantly work at. I still find myself having emotional knee-jerk reactions to shit, 100%. But then that's actually a sign, a telling sign as to like almost a signal to yourself, like, wait, why did it have an emotional reaction to that?
Yeah.
Is it actually coming from an objective truth that I actually know and hold? Or is it just coming from just a place of emotion because I don't like to hear that?
This person fucking stupid?
Exactly. It could be that too, right?
More often than not, that's what you find yourself asking.
Brother. Yeah. I mean, it's crazy how much things are at our fingertips in terms of knowledge, and but I think it's actually kind of handicapped us in a lot of ways, in a sense that we don't really think for ourselves a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Unfortunately,
it's true.
It's literally on some like Wall-E shit. Remember Wall-E? Remember that movie?
Yeah.
Where he's like a droid, and then like all the humans are just fucking like fooling around in their Professor X hoverboards.
Yeah.
And just being fat fucks, and you know what I mean? Everything is kind of like thought out for them.
Not a bad life. Being an NPC.
Being an NPC? I don't know, man. Well, existence is a trippy thing, isn't it? Because at the end of the day, I mean, you could go down the path of nihilism and be like, yo, none of this fucking matters. We're all gonna die and turn to dust one day, so who cares? But I don't know. That's so uninteresting. It's just like the fact that you're alive is just you've won the existence of the lottery existence in the first place.
Yeah.
Think about all the things that would have had to come together in order for you to be here, right at this very moment.
Yeah, your dad had to fuck your mom.
But out of all the billions of fucking sperm that probably, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you made it, bro. Like, brother,
We all lived
it's
in
a
some
miracle, man.
ball sack one
It's a
day.
miracle.
It is. With that said,
And you are nothing more than, or sorry, you leave nothing more than the impact upon which that you leave on people. And so I would like, with the existence that you have, I would like to think that I would leave this plane of existence with a net positive outcome or a net positive impact on the people that I have around me.
are the golden rule, baby.
With
Treat
that,
others as you would like to be treated. And yeah, don't be a fucking dick.
have fun along the way.
Have fun along the way.
Be
And
more
also,
be more self-reflective.
next time you see yourself reading a headline, maybe read four more.
Yeah.
And maybe read like an article
that contrasts yours.
And yeah, also,
look at the other side. What are they talking
go on
about?
Twitter, find someone that you absolutely hate, and like, just give them like 10 minutes.
Or don't, and just don't be a dick.
Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna be an NPC, just don't be a dick. You know what I mean?
100%. All right, ladies and gentlemen,
Thank
you
you
for tuning in. 26th episode, officially half of the year in the books. We love you, appreciate you, and we'll be back to you next week.
Peace.